So when we're looking at economic development and we're looking at recruiting companies through the region, we're also paying attention to what the needs of our existing workforce is and what our existing employers are looking for. That being said, when I look at Columbia County, we're sitting at a 4.8% unemployment rate right now. Anything under 5 starts to gain a little bit of concern based on availability of workforce. When you look at where things are coming from a regional standpoint, we do have a large area that we're pulling from, but we want to be mindful that when we're recruiting a new company, that we're being very cognizant of the skills that those jobs are going to require, and to make sure that we're not putting a negative effect on our existing industry. So there's a nice balance that you have to find in that process.
So workforce is the #1 key driver to a successful economic development program, and will make our region more successful. In Aiken County, as you all probably know, we have a lot of people who have finished their working career, but we need to get more young people into that pipeline, let them understand that manufacturing is a great way to make a living.
Availability in terms of the workforce is #1. We sell 2 products, and those products happen to be sites, billings, but most important is our greatest asset is our people. So we're constantly on top of the workforce availability. If an industry is having a problem, we have that connection, and we try to connect the dots between industry and the problem solvers, whether it be trainers or any of the things that we know so very well that affects companies looking at us. So I would say the availability of the workforce is certainly essential to what we do.
Whenever it comes to our organizations, we're looking after our particular county. That's our job, that's what we do. When it comes to the companies that we're recruiting, there are no county lines, there are no state lines. They're looking for the workforce, and they're looking for the workforce in this region. That's why we're here today, to make sure that we talk about a good regional workforce. We have all these counties that we represent right here. As Susan mentioned earlier, they're driving back and forth across the county lines, going to work.
One thing I want to make sure everyone in the room knows, that 30,000 new jobs or replacement jobs that we're looking at is not a unique situation to the greater Augusta region. This is a national epidemic that we are all looking at. 37,000 new jobs coming in or having to replace is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to work with our business leaders, our boards of education, our local governments, to really identify a path forward. It's an opportunity to engage a new student into the manufacturing careers and bringing them forward. That 37,000 job number is an extremely conservative estimate over the next 5 years. One of the biggest challenges that the study had was identifying the opportunities and the growth needs related to cybersecurity and technology. I think every one of us in here knows we have a little bit of growth happening in that industry. And if we do something right and we're prepared, we're going to end up with a lot of growth in that industry. And those jobs affect the manufacturing, they affect the health IT, they affect every element of what we're dealing with when recruiting.
I think 37,000 jobs over the next 5 years is a challenge to any region. And out of that 37,000, there's 7,000 new positions. So I think expanding training that we have now is certainly very important. Working with our businesses, our schools, industrial community, certainly is going to be very important. But what I'm afraid of, if you notice 2 weeks ago, Charleston County indicated they will have 20,000 new jobs in 18 months. So we got to do a better job of marketing our region, our workforce, and our training. I think every employer would certainly like to see huge number of applicants, but they also realize that about 50 to 75% of those applicants will not qualify. You will take 100, you may end up with 25, and out of that 25, 70% of that 25 will not complete the application process. So you're down to 5 to 10, and out of that 5 to 10, you may have 6 that accept employment. If you're only going to be taking the top 5 to 10% of applicants, then we got a tough job, and it's going to take the region working together to provide the adequate training, to make certain that we have a collaborative effort with our schools, with our industrial partners, to come together, and to elected officials, you got to increase funding so we can expand training.
I believe we need to get our educators in the K through 12 system in to see some of our facilities, the guidance counselors, so they can be better informed as they advise our young people. You know, we've got our technical colleges and our four-year colleges that go in and meet with these companies, but I'm sure there's limited involvement of all of our school systems, but they need to be more engaged and understand. So they have the most time with our workforce of the future, and we need them to be our salespeople just as much as everybody else.
What a good example of something that was just recently announced is what the Richmond County School System is doing with Textron specialized vehicles. I don't know whether you read about this or not, but they're getting ready to start what's known as the RPM program, where this is going to be about 75 kids starting this fall, where they will be essentially going to class in the morning and working at Textron in the afternoon. It does two things. Number one, it allows these students to continue to get their high school diploma, but also they are learning a skill with a very good opportunity to go to work for a very fine company.
In Aiken County, the Aiken County Public Schools and MTU have come together with an apprenticeship model, just like the German model, and that doesn't fit everybody's platform. It's been very successful for them, but those are the kind of things we need to expose these people, these young people, to these opportunities and let them get excited about it.
I would say 3 things. Schools, the business and industrial community, and our elected officials. They must come to the table. They must have a common goal, and that common goal should be to provide the best training, to have the best quality.
But what I would say is collaboration, partnership, and leadership by all the groups here, making this happen, because it is going to take everybody together.
Like I said earlier, we don't start this next year. We can't afford to start this next year. It starts today. It has to start today. And we have to make sure that all of our elected officials are on board and that their top priority is the big picture for this entire region's future. That's the #1 priority.
Taking ownership in this plan and this vision going forward, and help us spread the word, help us engage the rest of the community, the rest of the political leaders, the rest of the education leaders, and the rest of the business leaders. But if we can take the momentum we have today and keep it going forward, we will be in a very good position over the next 5 years.